This is Robert Murdelacci, the Mindshare Learning Port, and welcome to This Week in Canadian EdTech, Mindshare EdTech TV, podcast in conversation with Dr. Julie Mueller and Laura University in her new role as the Associate Dean of Graduate Research in the Faculty of Education on preparing back to school, AI and the Mission to the Moon Project, and STEM, along with Dr. Mueller is one of her summer interns, Denise Orozco with Midix, who's an intern from Columbia, who has been working through the summer on a project focused on AI and in the future of education. Lots to talk about today, Dr. Mueller. Thank you for joining me both.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So it's been a super busy summer for us preparing for back to school. You've been a leader in many respects in the EdTech space with your research, Dr. Mueller, and AI is certainly on top of mind for a lot of us. Let's talk about that initiative and Durance's role in what's happening. I'm going to share my screen as well on a research project that you've got going.
It certainly is top of mind and an emerging topic in educational research and in education more generally. So this is a project that started last year with my tax interns from India, and we're continuing on this year to really begin where people are. So we need to know what educators and soon-to-be educators and tutors think about and know about AI. So I'll let Durance tell you a little bit about the study and the QR code that's on the screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, right now we're looking for teacher candidates and tutors to share their perspectives on AI in education, what they think about it, what concerns them, and what they think we can do with AI in the field. So, and maybe the outcomes they see in the future. So we're looking for these educators to share to do this survey first, and if they want to share their thoughts about AI, we can then talk doing an interview, and that will take like 20 minutes. It's a really fast interview, and share their thoughts to help with this research.
Fantastic. Dr. Mueller, further thoughts to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's an important starting point because we hear across the media, I think when something's unknown, the first response is a fear and a defensive approach. So I think teachers, educators are hearing about AI and the dangers of AI. People don't know how to use it. They don't trust it. And we want to make sure that we understand where educators are coming from and recognize that they're already using a lot of AI tools in education. Things like turnitin.com and word prediction, searching, all of that is already using AI, but this generative AI might be really a more transformative point in EdTech. So much like mobile technology, often there's this cycle, the hype cycle, where something comes, it's new and we get all excited about it, but we are afraid of it. Then we sort of figure it out and then the fear disappears and we implement it, and then we can use it more constructively. In this case, I think when we gave students mobile technology, so teachers were afraid of computers when they first came in, then they got used to it. We found ways to use it, but they were really just doing more efficiently what they'd always done.
Right.
Mobile technology came along. We really put the learning in the learner's hands. So students were given iPads, iPods, that cell phones. So it changed to a very learner-centered, learner-driven approach. And I think that this AI is going to be a very transformative point again, because we need to learn. People are fearful of it right now. We need to learn how it is designed, what it can do, and we need to protect the pieces of teaching that are the human element.
Well, kudos to you for your leadership. I've heard more fear than those embracing it, and a great example is Dr. Chris Kennedy from West Vancouver School District, who wrote a blog about not doing away, throwing the baby the away with the bathwater, so to speak, and embracing it and leveraging it to use it in positive ways. I presented on generative AI at ERDI in Washington over the summer. And one of the other things they talked about was career pathway opportunities, right? For graduating students. I mean, prompt engineers can make up to $300,000 a year. It's not all about money, but it's actually a career pathway that is legitimate now, and there are programs you can take in that field of study. And today we are sharing. Our next report goes out at lunchtime today, and we're sharing 100 prompts for teachers that an innovative teacher created, and how they can leverage AI in the classroom.
Yes, for sure. And I think that's your point is well taken, that students and teachers need to learn how to use AI, but they also need to learn how to create AI. And that's been a bit of a lag in the EdTech sort of discipline.
That's right.
We need more computer scientists, but we need everybody to think in a computational way and understand what they're using. So I can drive my car and I'm not a mechanic.
Right. No,
but
absolutely.
If I'm going to use AI, if I understand how it works, I'm going to use it more effectively, and I'm going to use it safely and productively.
Thank you for that. We're currently collaborating with a company out of Australia, Literatu, who has an AI engine that analyzes essays and writing. And it's incredibly powerful, and it has the potential to give teachers back time, because as an English teacher, or teachers that are having to mark an essay, that is incredibly time consuming, right? So to automate things like that is powerful. Now, you're not going to rely fully on it, just like we prepare a press release or a report, and we'll put it into ChatGPT and to improve on it, right? So it's not creating the document, but you're leveraging it to enhance and improve. So that's kind of our approach to it, and it seems to have worked well for us. But I'm super excited for you, and I look forward to seeing the results. And folks that are online watching us now could just go to that QR code with their phone, and it'll pop up a survey link, I presume.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's pivot to the next project that you've had going that got my attention in the STEM space is the mission to the moon, which I'm going to share. And let's talk about that and where things are at with that particular project.
Yeah, so the mission on the moon has been going for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And it's in collaboration with Inksmith, an EdTech company, who actually created the modules with support from the Canadian Space Agency. So the Canadian Space Agency put out a call, and we responded to create these fully online, free, open access. And I know sometimes people go, what's the catch? But there really, truly is no catch.
Right.
It's housed on the Inksmith website, and you can use the little Kate robot that you see there as a lunar rover. So 6 of the modules have to do with the robot, but 6 of them are use online free software platforms like Scratch and Tinkercad to teach about space exploration, and particularly
Fantastic.
the mission to the moon.
And it's bilingual. I noticed the French version too.
Yes, our French
Wonderful.
version, that's the focus this year, and
Yeah.
we're going to be hosting a workshop for French teachers. Dr. Jennifer Straub, who is works with us here at Laurier, is working under a French Challenge Fund and trying to develop more French teachers. We have a shortage, doing an amazing job with funding there and using the mission on the moon as one way to do that. And Durance was a big part of many of the community events that happened around the mission on the moon. Do you want to just talk about quick one of
That's
those?
great. So you had online and some face-to-face events. That's impressive.
Yeah.
What's the response been like?
Has been great. A lot of the public has been coming to the events, and they're really interested in how the kids work, especially kids, but also the parents. They try to play with them. They try to see what it is and how it works. Also, we have taken this Kate robots to schools, and students have had the opportunity to play a little bit with the codes, play a little bit with the modules, and they have so much fun actually with these robots. And that when the students have fun, I think that just enhanced the learning. So they became more curious about towards these modules. They became more curious about coding, and I think that's really important to motivate them and to enhance the learning.
That's fantastic, and you've got quite a number of modules that have been populated. How long will this program continue?
The funding was for 3 years, and
Right.
we have
Is this part of the Can Code project, I presume?
It's not actually. It's separated. It's the
Okay.
Canadian Space Agency
Wow.
trying to push or to build education and awareness around the Artemis missions.
Fantastic.
And so, yes, in one of these modules is Jeremy Henson, who was named one of the Canadian astronauts to go to the moon.
I met him once
after we
before
started.
at the STAO conference. So this
Yes.
was probably 4 years ago now. It's a journey, isn't it? It doesn't happen overnight.
No. So, I mean, we are trying to reach over 200,000 students across Canada. So
Incredible.
by March. So yeah, if you're out there and you're a teacher, grab this. It's
well,
fully
you know,
downloadable. It's awesome.
Yeah, the fact that it's free and it's right there. I think when you have something that's ready made, I think that's inspiring for teachers to take a leap of faith, and thanks to the Can Code initiative in helping upskill teachers as well. That's what it's all about, right? And to give them the competencies and confidence to implement programs like this in the classroom.
Yeah, it has two parts to it. So part A and part B, and part A is really the content. So it fits in with the grade 6 and the grade 9 curriculum connection. So it's not something you have to say, oh, I don't have time, I've got everything planned. It's not in my curriculum. It's all about problem solving, critical thinking, climate questions. You can spark debate around what are we doing when we explore the moon? What can we learn when we explore the moon? So all of that is built into the part A. So there's lots of content there, could keep your students learning for a month easily.
Well, thank you for that. Speaking of the moon, we're thrilled it's a great segue to our Canadian EdTech Leadership Summit happening November 2nd and 3rd, which you attended last year gratefully at McGill. This year we're at Ottawa U and partnered with Ottawa Catholic School Board, and Daniel Sachs, the co-founder and CEO of the Canadian Space Mining Corporation, is going to be our opening keynote. How does that sound?
That sounds very interesting.
Would you believe that one of my colleagues in the U.S., their son is in aerospace engineering, and the comment was, and Jennifer Ferrari, she will be the CEO of ARDI, will be speaking at our summit, and her son is hoping to come because his interest as an aerospace engineering student is space mining. It really is a thing. I wasn't aware of that until this past spring.
Yeah, I see Bonnie Schmidt there as well from Let's Talk Science.
Yeah.
And Let's Talk Science has a project similar also as part of the initiative from the Canadian Space Agency, and working closely with Canada Census from Stratford, who are actually creating the rover. Lots of really good connections between our industry partners, our university partners, or government partners, and our education. I think that's what has to happen to make STEM a part
I
of
think,
education.
and your leadership in that area, Dr. Mueller, is impressive, because I haven't seen a lot of the other faculties getting engaged more so in that way in the mainstream. And it's really, the theme of our summit is empowering innovative, sustainable learning environments for the future. And faculties of education, I see as an important, critical element, a piece of the success equation in preparing our next generation teachers. Talk to me about what that looks like, and how you are preparing the next generation teachers for the classroom.
Sure, and I think you mentioned it earlier, and I think I also stated it. The term critical thinking. What we need to teach is clearly not about content anymore, but about learning processes and critical thinking, evaluation of the sources that we're using, skills that enable everybody to be actively involved in the technology that is become so pervasive. And I think one of the key issues around something like AI and EdTech in general, and whenever we provide something, a source for education, is accessibility and making sure that's equitable. So how do we ensure that every student has the ability to critically evaluate something like AI, that they have the opportunity to work in computer science and some of these industries, mining on the moon, right? So what we want to do with teachers is ensure that they have the skills to teach the children those skills. So what happens in our courses and in the experiences that our students have is that examination of critical and culturally relevant pedagogy. So making sure that every student has the opportunity, but at the same time talking about the skills that will be necessary, and providing opportunity for independent learning, ongoing learning, computational thinking. So we do that within our courses, but we also have close connections with our schools, so it's embedded in the learning. So instead of asking a teacher candidate to create a lesson plan that they'll never use, and we tell them that they need to consider the
Right.
students first, but if they don't have students, they can't possibly do that. So our students go into the schools one day a week,
Right.
and they can come back to those courses, those classes, and scaffold the learning by taking what they've seen in the school, real students, and say, oh, okay, a grade 3 student, this is how they might behave. This is what I need to consider.
Well, and for them to take your mission on the moon projects into the schools is also, I think, a great opportunity. Here's something a little different that we've come up with based on some of our research. I think I mentioned it before we were on air, but we have an EdTech industry boot camp in September, but we're launching a course, The Business of EdTech, as a career pathway for educators. and industry folks. So that's something that we've been grappling with for a long time. We've never seen anywhere in North America this type of micro credential that we're offering available. So we're happy to partner with you and other faculties in giving students an alternate career pathway, or retiring teachers or midstream, because there is quite a burnout rate when it comes to teaching.
It's interesting. That might be an opportunity as well for our Master of Education candidates. So you mentioned I'm now the Associate Dean of Graduate Programs and Research, and that
Right.
and research is a really key piece that we really want to emphasize, the importance of research within our faculty. And we have a number of our MEd candidates who are coming from places like Desire to Learn, from Inksmith type organizations, right? So they're working in the industry and coming to do their MEd, or we have MEd students then going and getting jobs related to the EdTech sector. And we have a real interdisciplinary approach. It's not an EdTech program. It's just my area of research. But within the program, we purposely make it interdisciplinary so that you have this mix, this collaborative mix.
You want it well-rounded. I think that's critical. And from what I've seen, not all programs offer that interdisciplinary and exposure to EdTech. It's not all about EdTech. It's about using the right tool at the right time. Just like my toolbox when I'm doing repairs around the house at home, right? Not going to use a hammer if I don't need a hammer. I might use a screwdriver. It's not rocket science, but really that's what it's about. What the challenge is, and we're doing an EdTech critical tools for back to school edition next in 2 weeks. And the challenge is there's so many tools. Some schools have 500 licensed tools for teachers. What are your thoughts on that?
That is an issue. And what I might suggest, what I did before I came on to talk here, is ask ChatGPT what are the most effective AI tools for elementary teachers?
Share.
They will share a lot, and that's a point where something that simple exercise for teachers helps them. Like Canva showed up, and the PowerPoint coach, some of those pieces that they're like, oh, okay, so I'm using AI, and what are some ways that I can use it? Duran's said to me, we were trying to put together the AI study, and I said, do you use ChatGPT? And he said, of course.
Of course.
And gave up some really interesting ways. I'm hosting a workshop or a chat in a week or two with one of our PhD students from the psychology department as well. And she is going to talk about how we use AI to do research. So we've got research about AI, but how are we using it in research? People are talking a lot about how we use it, how people are going to cheat with it. And, the kind of simple, straightforward kind of just to, enhance
there is a way
search.
to interface it ethically, right? It's about ethics 101, right?
And, having it do, like you mentioned, some of the more mundane aspects. So, she uses it to help write her syntax, not to analyze her data, but just put in the syntax. She said what would take her 4 hours now takes her half an hour.
Amazing. So my first question to our team after we wrap up is, have we leveraged AI on identifying the best tools for teachers for back to school? So I might embark on that myself. I'm always fascinated by the speed and the, not necessarily accurate, but there's some good quality content that it emerges instantly. So one of the key challenges in helping teachers is giving them back time. How are we doing in that regard? Because from what I understand, depending on the district, teachers are so taxed on time and reporting and, where are we going to get to the point where we have agile curriculum development and assessments, and automating that process would definitely help.
And I mean, I think COVID actually helped
Right.
with that. I'm developing a theory with a colleague of mine to change even the TPAC model. I'm sure you're aware of.
Right.
You know, the technological, pedagogical content knowledge with TPAC at the center. It's all about knowledge. And I said, what we need to do is put the learner at the center of that model and include a design process, because we had to pivot. We use that word so much, but
Yes.
It had to be just in time. It had to be responsive to the learner and what was happening. So I think we're doing a pretty good job of digitizing, you know, within the classroom, so that students are using collaborative documents and teachers are using learning management systems, and those kinds of things, like you say, I mean, can save time, but they can also take a great deal of time. So something as simple as email, okay, well, that's quick,
Right.
right? You can quick, but then if you start to have a conversation, it's
Right.
taking more time and it's a lag time. And I'd say that's sort of similar to Chat GPT, is you've done a search, so it's not going to save you time necessarily,
Right.
because you can put a question into Google and but it just gives you the places you need to go.
That's right.
Whereas this is it's going to those places, and then
The generative piece is really powerful.
And then you're able to say,
Yeah.
oh, but wait, like I did, as for AI tools in education, and then say, they put it out, oh, but maybe what about for elementary teachers? And you can have that conversation, right?
Absolutely.
It's conversational AI, as opposed to the, blump, blump, blump. I have to go back and look, and then I change it again, and I've got no feedback. So I think we need to, and that's what I mentioned early on about protecting the human elements of teaching.
Right.
So there needs to be some research in that
Absolutely.
area to really recognize what is it we need to protect,
Right.
and what does work best with AI. So that there's still a human element there. So maybe it can be, in a French class, AI could give feedback to students, when they're speaking, because, originally you have one teacher and 30 students, they only get to speak once every 30 minutes, right?
Right.
So that's not really effective, but they need the feedback. So if they can do that without the teacher, then the teacher can spend quality time with one student, but they're all getting the practice at the same time.
Yeah.
And they can still go around to each of them.
Wonderful, insightful conversation. Thank you for mind sharing and learning together today, Dr. Mueller and Durins. Pardon the pronunciation, Durins. It's been a fascinating time with you, and let's do this again sometime.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Robert.
All right. That was Dr. Julie Mueller at the Faculty of Education Graduate Studies Program, Associate Dean, and Durins, who is the MyTax intern from Columbia. My name is Robert Merlanchi, the Mindshare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindshare Learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.